So in Bahia, it's one of the states in Brazil. Other Brazilians know the state as the lazy state. They think the people there are all very lazy. The reason they think that is because there are a lot of beaches along the state. There's a big, long coastline, and a lot of people like to relax at the beach and have fun and party. But I have to say, some of those people are pretty hardworking. A lot of them actually are very faithful, very hardworking, and I don't think I would call them lazy overall. That's just the reputation that it has. The weather there is pretty hot. It was always fairly hot. You get used to the heat pretty quickly while you're there, but you just are always sweating all the time just because it's so hot there. And there is one city that does get kind of cold. It's the last one I served in, Vitória da Conquista. In that city, it's kind of higher elevation up in the mountains, so it gets a little colder and it kind of rains a lot. It got down to maybe about 40 degrees Fahrenheit or so. So that does feel really cold when you're used to about 90 the rest of the year, and then you show up there. And there's some areas you'll see lots of beach areas along there. Most of the cities are along the beaches. There's also some cities that are kind of more inland, and in the area between the beaches and the inland, it's kind of a lot of tropical jungle-looking stuff. You might see monkeys there. I saw a couple of monkeys on my mission, but not too many. They don't really go into the cities very much. And there's lots of farms that grow really delicious fruits, and a lot of people would give us those fruits for free just because they wanted to share what they had with us. And those are all really delicious, and sometimes I wish I could find them in the States, but unfortunately some of those you just can't find around here. In my mission, the transportation we used was mostly just walking and sometimes buses if you needed to get somewhere farther. There's a very good bus system in most of the cities, so it's pretty easy to use that to get around places. They're easy to use, they're very efficient, so that's one way of transportation. The other way is walking. There are some days I think I probably walked about at least 20 miles in a day, which is a lot of walking. Some of the areas are rather large, so you have to do a lot of walking to cover all the area. If there's not a bus that runs at the time that you want to get there, you might have to walk. And the housing there, they put the missionaries usually in pretty good houses, sometimes compared to the rest of them. Bahia is a fairly poor state, so a lot of people don't have super nice houses. There are also some rich people that have very nice houses, but the missionaries' houses overall are pretty nice, and you've usually got a good amount of space, and usually they have hot water. Not always. I had one apartment that didn't have hot water, so we had to take cold showers every morning. But they're pretty good overall. Another thing to know there is that the water from the tap is not safe to drink. You will get sick if you drink it. I have a companion that every time she drank it, she got sick, so I don't know why she kept drinking it. But you buy these bottles, it's big, of water, and you can drink that. And with cooking, you buy a similar type thing. You buy a little tub of gas, and you have a gas stove that you can use to cook food on there. For jobs, a lot of the people there, I met a lot of people who worked in construction there, building stuff. Some people owned their own business. A lot of the women would sell makeup, like Mary Kay makeup or other types of things like that. It's kind of a big variety of what people do. There weren't really any major businesses that I knew of around there. I also didn't serve in the capital, which is probably where the big businesses would have been. Some cool places in this mission, one of the cool places is Porto Seguro. It's actually the first place that the Portuguese arrived when they came to Brazil. They arrived in the year 1500, and there's a little monument there. It's pretty cool to check out, and there's some pretty cool tourist sites around that area. So that's a pretty neat place to visit. In Salvador, there's this place called the Pelourinho, which is a pretty famous little kind of downtown area. And it's got lots of colorful little houses. There's some famous churches built there. And yeah, there's just some kind of cool cities. Lots of places have little touristy places if you want to visit, because there are a lot of beach cities. So any of those will have some fun stuff to do on a P day or something. So this state is known to have a fairly high crime rate. I never had too much experience with stuff like that, but one time my apartment was broken into. Some man cut a hole in our door. Thankfully, he didn't steal anything. He got caught before he could steal anything. But you do have to watch out for stuff like that. Don't carry around anything very expensive with you. Don't carry around a lot of money. You are advised to carry around at least a little bit of money, though, so that if you do get robbed on the street, you do have something to give to the people who are robbing you, because they'll get very upset if you don't have anything to give to them. There was one time that I was with my companion, and I did happen to have quite a bit of money with me because we were going to buy a cake for a baptism later that day. And I also had my camera, which I really didn't want to lose because I had a lot of pictures on it. And this man came up to us trying to rob us. He was telling us that he wanted our money. And I don't know why, but I just told him that I didn't have any money for him. We're not supposed to fight them back, but that's just what I felt like was right to say. And he said that he was hungry, so we needed to give him money, or else we would be women of Satan and not women of God. So I told him that I had some crackers that I could give him because I had a little pocket in the front of my bag that had some crackers in it. So I opened that up and offered him the crackers, and he said he didn't want the crackers, he wanted my money. So I told him he must not be hungry and I had things to do, so I need to be on my way. My companion was kind of looking at me a little terrified the whole time because that's completely against everything you're taught to do, but I would say you really just have to follow the Spirit in situations like this. Normally, that's not something I would do, but it seemed like the right thing to do, and I told him I was going to leave if he didn't want the crackers, so I started leaving. He grabbed the crackers, shoved me on the ground, and ran away, but we got away without him taking anything of importance, so that was good. Quite a few of the missionaries that I knew in my mission, they were robbed on the street. Sometimes their cell phone was taken, sometimes the money was taken, but nothing too serious ever happened to the missionaries there. The weather there is pretty hot, and it does rain quite a bit and sometimes unexpectedly. Sometimes some of the cities aren't built super well, so they're pretty prone to flooding. You might have to walk through some floodwaters at some point if you're serving in this mission. In my first area, there was one day that it was bright and sunny, and you didn't expect it would rain, but I always carried an umbrella around with me. They're very useful for either if it's too sunny and too hot or if it's raining. So I always had an umbrella with me, and we went to our lunch appointment that day, and when we left our lunch appointment, still sunny and bright. We kept walking for about an hour, and then these rain clouds rolled in, and it just started pouring, and the streets started filling up with water. I had to walk back to my apartment through waist-deep water to get there. So just expect floods or lots of rain if you're going there. And it's good to have a good umbrella that you can carry around with you at all times.